Hey, good morning. Welcome to another episode of AI Buzz. My name is Nick, coming back at you with some more stories in the world of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Have some great stuff for you today. Coming up, Congress drafting an autonomous vehicle bill. Deep learning helping enhance video game characters, making them look even more realistic. dotData. It's a startup that's securing some new funding for an automated data cleaning and data modeling solution, and how artificial intelligence can assist and monitor Parkinson's patients for symptoms. All that and more coming up on this episode of AI Buzz. Let's get to it. First up, we live in a very, let's say, tumultuous political time. It can seem at times like no one knows how to work together. That's all I'm really going to say about politics. Democrats, Republicans are sort of always at each other's throats. However, in a certain area, they do seem to be working together. They are cohesively drafting the first part of an autonomous vehicle bill. This isn't the first time the two parties have tried to actually create legislation in this area. At the beginning of the year, two bills worked on by both of these parties were actually gaining support. One was called the Self-Drive Bill, which was actually passed into law. There was an accompanying AV Start bill that was supposed to kind of enhance it, and they were supposed to go together. However, due to some confusion, based on what I read, it seemed like there was sort of some misconceptions about what the bill would actually do. So because of that, the AV Start bill did not get passed into law. And because it failed to, get passed, we've really been without... I say we, but what I mean is the auto manufacturers, the people who are, the companies who are making these cars, they need this legal guidance and regulation on this matter to really, know how to guide their direction when they develop autonomous cars. And without that, the progress is a little bit halted. So this year, the Democrats and Republicans are actually taking a fresh look at creating an all-encompassing bill. A Forbes article reports that they're working on the first drafts of this bill, and they're working pretty well together. And what's really fascinating, and I'm really happy to hear this, is that both parties really seem to be trying to speed this up, speed this along. They realize that self-driving cars will reduce driving deaths, which is huge. Some people, when they hear about self-driving cars, they're really afraid, and they don't want that to ever happen. At first it'll take some getting used to, but ultimately self-driving cars will reduce driving deaths almost down to zero, in my opinion, once all the software glitches get worked out. Until then, it'll be quite the roller coaster ride. Anyway, hopefully this new bill that they're drafting will get signed into law, and then the auto manufacturers will really have a clear picture on how to develop and roll out their technology. And pretty much all major auto manufacturers are getting on board with autonomous cars. I've seen even Hyundai. I just reported on them jumping on the train. Obviously Tesla, Ford, all the main car companies are hopping on the self-driving train. So really looking forward to seeing if this gets passed. And once again, it's really good to see that Congress is sort of understanding the impact that this could have on our everyday lives. Next up, Video games have continued to improve on their lifelike elements over the years. Games are getting more and more complex with increased freedom for players to interact with their environment within the game. In certain cases, the video game character is very lifelike. Other circumstances, not so much. Other circumstances, you say, yeah, this is definitely a video game, and in some cases, it's like, wow, how did they add this detail that makes it look so much like a human? As animation capabilities get better through better hardware, the software is starting to improve through deep learning approaches. So typically, human movements can actually be transferred to the video game characters by capturing video of a real person performing an action. So they'll have kind of an actor or actress in a studio, and then have this person do a very wide range of motions with probably one of those suits with those dots, so that they can be tracked with the camera and the accompanying software, and then they can transfer that into essentially onto one of the characters within a video game. However, doing this, you're pretty limited to exactly how many motions that can get first filmed by the actor or actress. And this leads to gaps within these video games, because video games are really getting open-ended. They have these huge worlds that you can go and explore, and you can do just about anything in some of these games. It's pretty wild. So in some of these scenarios, the game creators probably didn't even envision people trying to do certain things. And in those cases, they don't have an action from that actor to transpose on top of the video game character. And so that's where deep learning comes in to fill the holes. Researchers from the University of Edinburgh, as well as Adobe Research, will be presenting research in the next several weeks that'll describe advancements in this field. The neural network that they've developed will learn from those video captures of human actions and extend these to unique, never-before-seen situations. So this will help kind of fill the holes of the motions and scenarios where they don't have real human footage to put into the video game. The network will instead learn from that footage that does exist, and then try to invent and create what it thinks a human would do in these wild scenarios that the creators had not really envisioned people getting themselves into. There's a whole culture on YouTube, and people are just generally curious, especially in video games. Some of these YouTube videos, people are doing things that I guarantee that video game creators did not think of someone trying to do. People have a lot of spare time. So this is really cool that these kind of fringe cases in video games are going to start looking even more lifelike based on this research. Next up, discussed before how end-to-end data science solutions are beginning to be used increasingly in the corporate world. Rather than pay for expensive data scientists to do lots of the manual pre-processing and cleaning, these things can typically be automated quite well in a lot of scenarios. So entire platforms have been built by AWS and DataRobot and others. They're being really heavily, they're popping up all over the place, these types of kind of end-to-end modeling and data science solutions. They're going to, these try to make this entire process as simple as possible and try to sort of remove the human element out of it, which in some cases I think is great, and in other cases probably not quite yet. However, there's a new company that's rapidly rising up among the ranks of AWS, DataRobot, and others. It's called dotData out of California. They recently have closed a pretty big $23 million funding round to continue building the data science solution that they have. And a lot of this funding will go to increased marketing to get their product out there and get additional exposure. One of the big selling points they state is a powerful feature engineering capability. Feature engineering it's definitely the last element of data science that humans can typically beat machines at. So Kaggle competitions, feature engineering is huge. Creating new features out of the data that you have to make even better features it typically requires a lot of domain knowledge to really know what things are going to lead to better predictions or better separation between your classes, things like that. So dotData is claiming that their feature engineering capability is exceptional, and they say that it really will be able to handle everything from data cleaning to that feature engineering to eventual deployment essentially at an organization. And they say they've already worked with 30 clients in Asia. They're expanding fast. They are sponsored in part by Goldman Sachs. So dotData is potentially poised and well positioned to steal some of the market share back from these other definitely bigger companies such as AWS and DataRobot. And like I said, there's a lot of these popping up. These definitely are shooting up like weeds. Definitely more useful than weeds, in my opinion, but we will see where dotData goes. I think these really should be implemented at just about every organization. If there's a way to take these data warehouse tables that every organization has and then pump this into an end-to-end solution and then put data in and get dollar signs out, that really would be game-changing. It's definitely not that simple, but dotData is trying to make that happen. Next up, we know that AI is entering medical imaging, drug development. It's improving patient outcomes as well by helping doctors provide better care. As it becomes more involved in medicine, AI can help sort through all of that data that's received from other things as well, such as wearable devices. So, really surprised at how well these caught on. Everyone's wearable smart watches. Many people have Fitbits or Apple Watches. It's rather commonplace now for people to have an electronic on their wrist. So machine learning via these wearable smart devices has been used by researchers to track how much Parkinson's patients tremor. So this is a metric that previously was tough to monitor because Parkinson's patients would, go to their appointment at the doctor's office, and the doctor would only see a very small snapshot of their symptoms. This monitoring method would give physicians a more full picture on the severity of the symptoms by evaluating them throughout their day, potentially for many days or weeks, instead of only evaluating them when they come in for their initial appointment. Researchers at Florida Atlantic University were able to very successfully track tremors of both the hand and the foot by placing wearable sensors on both these areas. The study was also able to show that it was also able to demonstrate how effective medication was in treating Parkinson's. When they could detect the time the medication was took, they saw they typically would see tremors decrease significantly. The team used a gradient tree boosted algorithm to estimate the tremors with a very high degree of accuracy, and they found that it typically would have the same results as one of the official rating scales, the official neurological Parkinson's scale, that is used by neurologists to rank or to sort of diagnose Parkinson's. And the severity of symptoms is it's scaled on this, with that scale. So this group from Florida Atlantic University is really doing some cool work. They're allowing physicians to get more data and get a fuller picture of a patient's life. And this type of monitoring, it really could be useful in the medical field. Having a physician have a more complete picture of someone's health will definitely result in better patient outcomes, as well as the doctor being able to provide better care. That's about all I have on this episode of AI Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Let me give a brief recap of what I talked about. First, Congress has drafted a new version of their autonomous vehicle bill. Deep learning is making video game characters move more lifelike in some of these fringe cases. dotData is raising some significant funding to increase their sales and marketing for their automated end-to-end data science solution. And lastly, researchers at Florida Atlantic University are using artificial intelligence to monitor Parkinson's patients. They're able to get a more full picture of tremors so that it can help doctors have a more complete picture of how their patient is doing. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of AI Buzz. I'm your host, Nick. I will have more machine learning and artificial intelligence related stories for you very, very soon, probably tomorrow morning. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day, and bye.